Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Maharaj's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Krishna Chaitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj on October 25th, 2021 in Sridham, Mayapur, India.
Pangun Langayate Girim Sri Gurum Dinatharinam Sri Chaitanya Meeshwaram.
Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, today we will continue with the compilation of Sri Krishna Chaitanya book. Today's chapter is entitled The Transcendental Mellows of Devotional Service. Under the section, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Srila Rupa Goswami. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 19.178.
প্রেম ভক্তির গাঢ়ত্বের তারতম্য বৈচিত্র্য চরমে মহাভাব প্রেম বৃদ্ধি ক্রমে নাম স্নেহমান প্রণয় রাগ অনুরাগ ভাব মহাভাব হয়.
The basic aspects of prema, when gradually increasing to different states, are affection, abhorrence, love, attachments, further attachment, ecstasy, and great ecstasy. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.2.84, Sneha, affection, is described as follows. The aspect of prema in which the melting of the heart for the lover is concentrated is called sneha or affection. The symptom of such affection is that the lover cannot for a moment remain without the association of the beloved. A description of man can be found in Madhya Lila, chapter 2, verse 66. Similarly, a description of pranaya is also there. As rag is concerned, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says, that stage at which affection for the beloved converts unhappiness into happiness is called rag or attachment. When one has such attachment for Krishna, he can give up his own life to satisfy his beloved Krishna. Anurag, Bhav and Mahabhav are described in the 6th chapter of the Madhya Lila, verse 13. The purport to that verse explains Adhiruddha Mahabhav.
So, these are the 8 stages of prema.
So these are the 8 stages of prema,
Pure love
for Krishna.
And as you can see, this is a great science.
As you can see, this is a great science
that different devotees and different stages.
As different devotees have differentiated.
Radharani, only a few rare souls have the Mahabhav states.
Different devotees at different stages. Only Radharani and few rare devotees are in the stage of Mahabhav.
Sometimes Radharani's ecstasy is so great.
Sometimes Radharani's ecstasy is so great
that she faints. When she faints, Krishna also faints.
And when she faints, Krishna also faints.
When Krishna faints,
everything stops.
Because he is the consciousness of everyone.
Because he is the consciousness of everyone.
Only person that's awake is Balaram.
The only person that is awake is Balaram.
And he has to wake up Krishna and everything starts again.
And he has to wake up Krishna and everything starts again.
Anyway, this love of Krishna is so great.
This love of Krishna is so great.
Lord Chaitanya is giving us his love very mercifully.
Lord Chaitanya is giving us this love very mercifully. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.179.
উপমা জৈছে বীজ ইক্ষুরস গুড় খণ্ড সার শর্করা সীতা মিশ্রি উত্তম মিশ্রি আর
The gradual development of prema may be compared to different states of sugar. First, there is the seed of the sugar cane, then sugar cane, and then the juice extracted from the cane. When this juice is boiled, it forms liquid molasses, then solid molasses, then sugar, candy, rock candy, and finally lozenges.
So, like this, the development of pure love by Krishna, also different stages of intensity.
So like this, the elements of pure love of Krishna goes through different stages of intensity.
This is the process that gur or molasses is made.
So this is the process that the gur or molasses is made.
Finally ending up with sugar candies
Finally ending up with sugar candies
and lozenges.
and lozenges.
So, this is an example given by Acharyas.
So this is the example given by our acharyas.
This was taught by Lord Chaitanya to Rupa Goswami.
This was taught by Lord Chaitanya to Rupa Goswami. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.180.
রতির সহিত বিভাবাদী চারি প্রকার ভাবের মিলনে রসোদয় এই সব কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি রসে স্থায়ী ভাবে মিলে যদি বিভাব অনুভাব
All these stages combined are called Sthayi Bhav, or continuous love of Godhead in devotional service. In addition to these stages, there are Vibhava and Anubhava. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, attachment for Krishna never wanes. It increases more and more as one attains different stages. All these stages together are called Sthayi Bhav, or continuous existence of ecstasy. The 9 forms of devotional service are Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam, Sakyam Atmanivedanam. When continuous love of Godhead is mixed with the process of devotional service, it is called Vibhava, Anubhava, Satvika, and Vyabhichari. The devotee thus enjoys a variety of transcendental bliss. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that Anubhava can be divided into 13 categories: dancing, rolling on the ground, singing, yelling, jumping, making loud noises, yawning, heavy breathing, not caring for public opinion, discharging saliva, roaring laughter, unsteadiness, and hiccuping. These are the symptoms of Anubhav. Thus, transcendental mellows are experienced in different stages. Similarly, there are many other forms of expression that have been analytically studied by the Goswami. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami gives each and every symptom a particular name.
So, the different expressions of ecstatic love
So these different expressions of ecstatic love
for Lord Krishna are explained very systematically by Rupa Goswami.
Are explained very systematically by Srila Rupa Goswami.
Actually, to experience these is not possible to explain by any material example.
Actually, to experience this It is not possible to explain this in any material means, words.
This is something that the devotee experiences personally.
It is something that the devotees experiences personally.
And that's what Lord Chaitanya is giving the highest happiness.
So that's why Lord Chaitanya is giving the highest happiness.
Nothing higher than love for Krishna.
There is nothing higher than love for Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.181.
সাত্ত্বিক ব্যভিচারী ভাবের মিলনে কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি রস হয় অমৃত আস্বাদনে.
When the higher standard of ecstatic love is mixed with the symptoms of sattvika and vyabhachari, the devotee relishes the transcendental bliss of loving Krishna in a variety of nectarian tastes.
The devotee is experiencing a variety of aspects of mellows of loving Krishna.
So the devotee is experiencing aspects of varieties of mellows loving Krishna.
They are not something that's experienced in the material world.
It is not something that is experienced in the material world.
It's completely transcendental.
It is completely transcendental. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.182.
উপমা জইছে দধি সীতাঘৃত মরিচ কপ্পর মিলনে রসালো হয় অমৃত মধুর.
These tastes are like combination of yogurt, sugar, candy and ghee, clarified butter. Black pepper and camphor are as palatable as sweet nectar.
The taste mentioned here are different varieties.
So these tastes mentioned here are different varieties.
They all combined together, they form a special sweet.
When they all are combined together, they form a special sweet.
Like that, one love attachment for Krishna
So like that, one's love attachment for Krishna
has many different aspects,
has many different aspects.
and when they're all combined together,
When they are all combined together,
they form a very sweet nectar taste.
they form a very sweet nectar taste. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.183 to 184.
ভক্তভেদে পঞ্চবিধ রতি ভক্তভেদে রতিভেদ পঞ্চপ্রকার শান্তরতি দাস্যরতি সক্ষরতি আর. রতিভেদে পঞ্চবিধ ভক্তিরস বাৎসল্যরতি মধুররতি এ পঞ্চবিভেদ রতিভেদে কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি রসে পঞ্চভেদ.
According to the devotee, attachment falls within the 5 categories of Shantarati, Dasyarati, Sakhyarati, Vatsalyarati, and Madhurarati. These 5 categories arise from devotees' different attachments to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The transcendental mellows derived from devotional service are also of 5 varieties. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shantarati is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.16 to 18 as follows. When one is completely free from all doubts and material attachments, he attains the neutral position called Shanta. The Shantarati realization of Krishna is in the neutral stage between the conception of impersonalism and personalism. This means that one is not very strongly attached to the personal feature of the Lord. An appreciation of the greatness of the Lord is called Shantarati. This attachment not to the personal feature but to the impersonal feature. Generally, one in this stage is attached to the Paramatma feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Santa Rasa is the appreciation of the Lord and His Paramatma feature.
So Shanta Rasa is the appreciation of the Lord, maybe for his Paramatma
Wow.
feature,
Like trees, animals, cows, deers.
or being like trees, animals, cows, deers.
They don't actually already serve to Krishna.
They don't actually have any service to Krishna,
They appreciate Krishna.
but they appreciate Krishna.
Or sometimes great rishis, they may appreciate Krishna,
So sometimes great rishis, they may appreciate Krishna,
and this is all the aspect of Santa Rasa.
so this is all the aspects of Santarasha. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarodani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Bhagavad Gita 1861. On the strength of this statement from the Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that Shantarasha, a devotee, sees the Lord's representation everywhere. Dasyarati is explained.
So the Santa Rasa, he sees the Lord, His greatness, but
So the Santarasa devotee, he sees the Lord everywhere, his greatness, but
is not engaging in the service of the Lord.
he is not getting into the service of the Lord.
He just appreciates the Lord.
He just appreciates the Lord. Dasyarati is explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.27 as thus. When the Supreme Lord, in his localized aspect, is appreciated and a great devotee understands his subordinate position, not only does he surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but due to his subordinate position, he wishes to render some service and thus become favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee in Shantarati is not very much willing to render service to the Lord, but devotee in Dasyarati voluntarily wants to render service. Due to this attitude, the devotee in Dasyarati realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead more fully than a devotee in Shantarati. He considers the Lord to be a worshipable object, and this means that his attachment for the Lord increases. Thus, Dasyarati is characterized by Bhakti Pareshanubhavo Viraktir Anyatra Cha 11.2.42 Bhagavatam. In other words, on the Dasyarati platform, a devotee is attached to rendering service to the Lord and is detached from material activities. Shantarati is neither material nor spiritual, but Dasyarati is actually on the spiritual platform. There is no attachment for material things on the spiritual platform. Viraktir anyatra cha.
Means you want to serve the Lord.
So Dasyaras means you want to serve the Lord.
Narayan form, serve by worshiping the Lord.
So in the Narayan form, you serve him by worshipping the Lord.
Hanuman, he wants to serve Lord Ram.
Hanuman, he wants to serve Lord Ram.
Well, the servants of the types, what
So there are service of different types, but
they all want to serve the Lord.
they all want to serve the Lord. There are servants of different types.
Instead of the Lord to be very much their superior.
So they consider the Lord to be much superior. A devotee in Dasyarati has no attachment for anything but Krishna's service. Sakyarati is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.30 as follows. According to the opinion of advanced devotees and learned scholars, a devotee in Sakyarati feels equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a relationship in friendship. Due to having a friendly relationship with the Lord, not only is one free from material attachment, but one believes in equal dealings with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Sakyarati. The Sakyarati devotee is so advanced that he treats the Lord on an equal level and even exchanges joking words with him. Although one is never equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Sakyarati devotee feels equal to the Lord, and he does not feel guilty because of this. Usually it is offensive to consider oneself equal to the Lord. The Mayavadi, for example, consider themselves equal to the Lord, but such feelings entail bereavement because they are material. Sakyarati, however, is feeling experienced in the mind by a pure devotee and is eternally related with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that feeling.
Those in the Sakya Ras consider themselves friends of the Lord.
So those who are in the Sakyaras consider themselves as the friends of the Lord.
They do not consider the Lord in his absolute position.
So they may not consider the Lord in his absolute position.
They consider the Lord as their own dear friend.
They consider the Lord as their own dear friend.
And this is a very intense love for Krishna.
So this is a very intense love for Krishna.
And in that loving relationship, they exchange different pastimes and sentiments with the Lord.
So in that loving relationship, they exchange different pastimes and sentiments with the Lord. Vatsalya Rati is described as follows in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.33. When a living entity is situated on the platform of Vatsalya Rati, he thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his childhood feature. In this feature, the Lord has to be protected by the devotee. And at this time, the devotee takes the position of being worshipped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These feelings of parental love are called Vatsalya Rati. When the devotee is situated on this platform, he wants to maintain the Lord like a son, and he desires all good fortune for the Lord. He offers blessings to the Lord by touching his feet and head.
In Vatsalya Rasa, one thinks that the Lord is a child and is dependent on the parent.
So in Vatsalya Rasa, one thinks the Lord is a child and he is dependent on the parent.
The parent is always thinking about the Lord's welfare.
And the parents, they are always thinking about the Lord's welfare.
This is a more intense form of love.
So this is a more intense form of love.
So, being equal with the Lord, they feel superior to the Lord.
Instead of feeling equal to the Lord, they feel superior to the Lord.
That the Lord is dependent on them.
That the Lord is dependent on them.
So, this is the nature of Vatsalya Ras.
So this is the nature of Vatsalya Ras.
It's the fourth stage of loving the Lord.
So this is the fourth stage of loving the Lord. Madhura Rati, or attachment in conjugal love, is described as follows. Madhur Rati, the conjugal relationship experienced between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the young damsels of Brajabhumi, continuously exists in 8 kinds of remembrance. This intimate relationship brought about by conjugal love produces movements of eyebrows, glancing, sweet words, and exchanges of joking words.
And so, we love for the Lord in this conjugal relationship
So the love for the Lord in the conjugal relationship
is very intense,
is very intense,
and one may exchange different emotions and pastimes with the Lord.
one may exchange different emotions and pastimes with the Lord.
So, in terms of Raja, are considered the most elevated.
So the damsels of Braja are considered to be the most elevated.
And then come the queens of Dwarka,
After them comes the queens of Dwaraka,
and then Lakshmi's and Vaikuntha.
and then Lakshmis in Vaikuntha. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.185.
পঞ্চমুখ্য ভক্তিরস ও সপ্ত গৌণরস শান্ত দাস্য সখ্য বাৎসল্য মধুর রসনাম কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি রস মধ্যে এ পঞ্চ প্রধান.
The chief transcendental mellows experienced with the Supreme Personality of Godhead are five: Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhura. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Shanta Bhakti Rasa is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.1.4-6 as follows. When Shantarati, neutral attraction, exists continuously and is mixed with ecstatic emotion, and when the devotee relishes that neutral position, it is called Shanta Bhakti Rasa. Shanta Bhakti Rasa devotees generally relish the impersonal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since their taste of transcendental bliss is incomplete, it is called aghana, or not concentrated. A comparison is made between ordinary milk and concentrated milk. When the same devotee goes beyond the impersonal and tastes the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original form as Sachidananda Vigraha, his transcendental blissful body complete in knowledge and eternity, the taste is called concentrated, ghana, transcendental bliss. Sometimes the devotee sees devotee in Shantarasa relish transcendental bliss after meeting the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But this is not comparable to the transcendental bliss relished by the devotees situated in Dasya Rasa, the transcendental mellow in which one renders service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dasya Rasa or Dasya Bhakti Rasa is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.2.3-4 as follows. When according to his desires, the living entity develops love for Supreme Personality of Godhead, this beginning stage of love is called Dasya Bhakti Rasa. Dasya Bhakti Rasa is divided into two categories called Sambrahma Dasya and Gaurava Dasya. In Sambrahma Dasya, the devotee renders respectful service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in the more advanced Gaurava Dasya, the devotee feels he is receiving protection from the Lord. Sakya Bhakti Rasa is described as follows in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.3.1. According to one's original consciousness, ecstatic emotions may be exhibited as continuously existing in fraternity. When this stage of Krishna consciousness is mature, it is called Prayo Rasa or Sakya Bhakti Rasa. Vatsalya Bhakti Rasa is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.4.1 as follows. When eternally existing love of Godhead transforms into parental love and mixed with corresponding emotions, that stage of spiritual existence is described by learned devotees at Vatsalya Bhakti Rasa. Madhura Bhakti Rasa is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.5.1 as follows. If in accordance with one's own natural development in Krishna consciousness, one's attraction leads toward conjugal love within the heart, that is called attachment in conjugal love or Madhur Rasa.
All these 5 types of relationships
So these 5 types of relationships
are the principal ones.
are the principal ones.
The other ones fixed situation.
They are the ones in fixed situations.
However,
However,
different passing relationships also mix with these.
different passing relationships also mix with this.
Will you explain it on?
That would be expanded on. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.186.
ভক্তি রসামৃত সিন্ধু 2.5-116 হাস্য অদ্ভুত তথা স্থবির করুণ রৌদ্র ইত্যপি ভয়ানক সবিভৎস ইতি গৌণস্য সপ্তধা.
Besides the 5 direct mellows, there are 7 indirect mellows known as laughter, wonder, chivalry, compassion, anger, disaster, and fear. Purport: this verse is found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.5.116.
All the indirect mellows are mixed with the permanent mellow.
So these indirect mellows are mixed with the permanent mellows
And create a certain taste.
and create a certain taste.
Some mellows are not compatible.
Some mellows are not compatible.
This is being explained by Lord Chaitanya to Srila Rupa
So
Goswami.
this is being explained by Lord Chaitanya to Srila Rupa Goswami. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.187.
হাস্য অদ্ভুত বীর করুণ রৌদ্র বিভৎস ভয় পঞ্চবিদ ভক্তি গৌণ সপ্তরস হয়.
In addition to the 5 direct mellows, there are 7 indirect mellows known as laughter, wonder, chivalry, compassion, anger, disaster, and fear. Purport: similarly, Hasya, Adbhuta, Veera, Karuna, Raudra, Bhaya, and Bibhatsa. The 7 indirect mellows are explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The Hasya Bhakti Rasa, laughing devotion, is explained as follows. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 4.1.6. When through devotional service a laughing attachment to Krishna is developed, it is called Hasya Bhakti Rasa by learned scholar. Similarly, Adbhuta Rasa is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 4.2.1. When one's general attachment is fixed in wonder, it is called Adbhuta Bhakti Rasa. Veer Bhakti Rasa is called as follows in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 4.3.1. When attachment to Krishna mixes with the bellicose tendency, the charitable tendency, or the merciful tendency in the heart of the devotee, such devotion is called Veera Bhakti Rasa.
Like Bhishmadev, he had a fixed relationship of service with Krishna,
So, like Bhishma Dev, he had a fixed relationship of service with Krishna,
but he was attached to Krishna
Krishna.
in a chivalrous indirect mellow.
So he was attached to Krishna in a chivalrous indirect mellow.
He wanted to see Krishna in the battlefield.
He wanted to see Krishna in the battlefield.
And he was very inspired by that.
And he was very inspired by that. Karuna Bhakti Rasa is described as follows in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 4.4.1. When one's devotional attitude and attachment for Krishna is mixed with lamentation, it is called Karuna Bhakti Rasa. Similarly, Raudra Bhakti Rasa is described as follows in BRS 4.5.1. When devotion is mixed with anger in the heart of the devotee, the taste is called Raudra Bhakti Rasa. Bhayanaka Bhakti Rasa is described as follows in BRS 4.6.1. When devotion is mixed with fear, it is called Bhayanaka Bhakti Rasa. And Vibhatsa Bhakti Rasa is called as follows in BRS 4.7.1. When one's attachment for Krishna develops in an abominable way, the devotee enjoys it. This is called Vibhatsa Bhakti Rasa. In conclusion, when a pure devotee is situated in any of 5 principal mellows, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya and Madhura, that mellow is mixed with one or more of the 7 indirect bhakti rasa: Hasya, Adbhuta, Veera, Karuna, Raudra, Bhayanaka and Bibhatsa. The indirect mellows become prominent.
As you can see, loving Krishna is a great science.
As you see, loving Krishna is a great science.
And these direct mellow, indirect mellow, have been studied by great acharyas like Srila Goswami.
So these great mellows has been studied by great acharyas like Srila Rupa Goswami.
And 16 indirect mellows, indirect mellow manifesting.
We can see these different indirect mellows manifesting.
Especially Lord Chaitanya, he will manifest different ecstatic symptoms.
Especially when Lord Chaitanya, when he would manifest these different ecstatic symptoms. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.188.
পঞ্চমুখ্যরাস স্থায়ী সপ্ত গৌণরাস আগন্তুক পঞ্চরস স্থায়ী ব্যাপী রহে ভক্ত মনে সপ্ত গৌণ আগন্তুক পাইয়ে কারণে।
The 5 direct transcendental mellows of devotional service are permanently situated in the heart of the devotee, whereas the 7 indirect emotions appear suddenly under certain condition and appear more powerful.
Like when they have a particular rasa
Like one may have a particular rasa
of friendship or servitude
of friendship or servitude
or whatever,
or whatever.
then one laughs.
Then if one laughs,
At that moment, the laughter seems prominent,
at that moment the laughter seems to be prominent,
although his permanent relationship is fixed.
although his permanent relationship is fixed.
So the temporary indirect mellows
So the temporary indirect mellows
may come or go,
may come and go,
and the permanent one stays.
but the permanent one stays. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.189.
শান্ত দাস্যরসের ভক্তের নাম শান্ত ভক্ত নবযোগেন্দ্র সনকাদিয়ার দাস্য ভাব ভক্ত সর্বত্র সেবক অপার।
Examples of Shanta Bhaktas are 9 Yogendras and 4 Kumaras. Examples of devotees in Dasya Bhakti are innumerable, for such devotees exist everywhere. Purport: the 9 Yogendras are Kavi, Havi, Antariksha, Prabhuda, Pipalayana, Avirhotra, Dravida, or known as Drumila, Chamasa, and Karabhajana. The 4 Kumaras are Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatkumara, and Sanatana. The servants, devotees in Gokula are Raktaka, Chitraka, Patraka, and so on. In Dwaraka, there are servants like Daruka, and in the Lord's pastimes, in the material world, there are servants like Hanuman. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.190.
সখ্য বাৎসল্য রসের ভক্তের নাম সখ্য ভক্ত শ্রীদামাদি পুরে ভীমার্জুন বাৎসল্য ভক্ত মাতা পিতা যত গুরুজন।
In Vrindavan, examples of devotees in fraternity are Sridham, Sudhama, and in Dwaraka, the Lord's friends are Bhima and Arjuna. In Vrindavan, the devotees in parental love are Mother Jashoda and Father Nanda Maharaj, and in Dwaraka, the Lord's parents are Vasudev and Devaki. There are also other superior persons who are devotees in parental love.
Vasudev had 18 wives.
Vasudev had 18 wives.
Devaki was his real mother,
Devaki was his real mother.
and all the stepmothers had parental affection for Lord Krishna.
But all the stepmothers had parental affection for Lord Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.191.
মধুরসের ভক্তগণ পুরকান্তা ও ব্রজকান্তাগণ, মধুরসে ভক্ত মুখ্য ব্রজে গোপীগণ, মহিষীগণ লক্ষ্মীগণ অসংখ্য গণন।
The chief devotee in conjugal love are the gopis in Vrindavan, the queens in Dwaraka, and the goddesses of fortune in Vaikuntha. These devotees are innumerable.
Also, some practical examples are given of the different devotees,
So some practical examples are given about these different devotees
different rasas,
in different rasas,
different mellows of bhakti,
in different mellows of bhakti,
so that one can understand what is meant by the different rasas.
so that one can understand what is meant by the different rasas. Thus ends the chapter entitled The Transcendental Mellows of Devotional Service under the section Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Srila Rupa Goswami.
Do you like our ad-free videos? Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.